Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me. This is Kathy, and today I'll be creating a card using the Coffee Break Turnabout stamp from Concord 9th. And I started out by placing the jig into my stamp platform, and I used some temporary adhesive to hold down my cardstock while I did the stamping. I had previously lined the stamp up with the guide that comes with the stamp set and already had it ready to go in my stamp platform. There are a lot of videos on how to do that, so I just kind of skipped recording that part. I created this card for a stamp club that I'm a part of, and the theme was to use a specific color combination. It was one of the color challenges from My Favorite Things. So it was a lighter orange, a brighter orange, a deeper red, and then a teal or a turquoise color. I didn't have all of those matching ink pads from My Favorite Things, so I just chose colors that I have in my stash. And the first color that I stamped with was Alt New Caramel Toffee ink, and I did stamp the image twice to make sure that I got a really good impression. After I had used the caramel toffee, of course, I cleaned my stamp, and then I turned my jig and used Memento Morocco ink. The third color I used is Memento Rhubarb Stock. And the fourth color that I used is My Favorite Things Tropical Teal. You know, the one thing that I do really like about the turnabout stamps is because they can be turned 4 times, if I'm having trouble coming up with a color combination, I will often hop on over to the My Favorite Things blog and look up some of their color challenges, because it kind of makes it really easy to use the turnabout stamps. There's not a whole lot of thinking involved when the colors are already chosen for me. Anyway, after I was done with all of the stamping, I had die cut the coffee cup from the coordinating die set from Cougar Super Smooth cardstock and decided to color it up with my Copic markers. So I chose colors that were pretty close to the tropical teal ink pad that I had used. And I started out with my darkest color, which is BG49. And of course, I'll have all of the supplies that I used listed in the description below, as well as the Copic marker colors that I used. With the BG49, I added that around the areas where it would be darkest, like the back of the rim of the cup, and then down the sides and around on the handle. And then I just started blending it out with BG13. And then the lightest color that I used was BG32. And I kind of thought that the BG32 was a little bit too light, so I ended up just going over all of it with the BG13. I wish I would have just left well enough alone. I was still getting used to using the Cougar Super Smooth cardstock, and I really didn't give the markers an opportunity to do all the blending on their own within the fibers of the cardstock. But lesson learned, and now that I am a lot more used to using this cardstock, I'm a lot more patient, and I kind of just let the markers do what they're going to do. Anyway, after I had gone over it again with the BG13, I did go back in with the BG49 to darken up some of those areas. And then I did one final swipe using the BG13. Off screen, I had stamped the coffee insert part onto a piece of Cougar Super Smooth cardstock as well. And for that, I used milk chocolate ink from My Favorite Things. And then to get the foam on that coffee insert real puffy, to make it look like it was that pretty foam, I applied some crystal lacquer to the white areas, coated it with my puffy embossing powder from Hero Arts, and heat set it. And the first round, there were a few spots that I missed with the crystal lacquer, so I just went in with my regular Zig 2-way glue pen, added another coat of the puff embossing powder, and heat set it until it was nice and bubbly. And I really like how it just added that texture to the foam and just made it really fun. After I was done with that, I adhered a piece of red cardstock to the bottom part of my stamped panel, and then I ran it through my die cut machine with a stitched rectangle die. I set that aside and then started to put a whole bunch of foam tape on the back of the coffee cup. And I do have foam tape kind of going over the opening where the coffee insert part would go. I just figured it would be easier to add foam tape in one full swoop so that I didn't have to try and guess where to put the foam tape on the coffee insert. So once I had a whole bunch of foam tape on the back of that coffee cup, I flipped it over, and the exposed adhesive was already on the front for the coffee insert, so I just put that into place. Next, I removed all of the release paper and added that to the front of the stamped panel. And then I added that to the front of a top folding A2 size note card. And for my note card, I used Nina Desert Storm cardstock. And that finishes up my card for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not yet subscribed, I'd love it if you would. And don't forget to ring the bell so you're notified every time a new video is posted. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.